Ever wonder how the heart works? How the heart really works? Well, we're going to find out today. Today, we're going to get into the electrical basis of the heart's function. This is primarily concerned with the ionic changes that result in impulses preceding a typical heartbeat. As we continue along this series, you will be able to use these principles to understand the various pathologies associated with irregular heartbeats as seen in arrhythmias. There are two types of cardiac cells. There are contractile cells and there are autorhythmic cells. Contractile cells make up some 99% of the heart, which accounts for its musculature. Thus, they are responsible for enabling contractions and generating force. These contractile cells are activated by the impulses received from the autorhythmic cells. The autorhythmic cells generate and distribute electrical activity to the contractile cells and make up 1% of the heart. Thus, they control and coordinate the heartbeat but do not contribute to the contractile force. Here's a question for you. Which parts of the heart would possess autorhythmic cells? The autorhythmic cells are part of a wider conduction system. Therefore, if you answered with any of the following cells, then you are correct and well on your way to mastering the heart. The autorhythmic cells of the heart can be found in the SA node, AV node, Purkinje fibers, and the bundle of His. Let's explore how these cells generate action potentials which are sent to the contractile cells for generation of a heartbeat. What we must first note is that, compared to our contractile cells, depolarization occurs differently in our autorhythmic cells. The autorhythmic cells undergo a continuous type of action potential known as the pacemaker potential. There is essentially a state in which there is no resting membrane potential. I say this because the autorhythmic cell is depolarized immediately after repolarization. The three main ions associated with this action potential are calcium ions, which cause the rapid depolarization, potassium ions, which causes repolarization, and sodium ions, which causes the initial slow depolarization. Spontaneous depolarization occurs in phase 4. This is due to the constant leakage of sodium ions through the funny channels. There is also calcium ions which enter the cells and results in an overall slow depolarization of the membrane. This slow depolarization continues until it hits the threshold, enabling the beginning of another phase. The latter part of the slow depolarization involves the type T calcium channel. In phase 0, depolarization occurs. This phase is dependent on calcium ions. There is a quick uptake in the action potential as calcium ions rush into the cell, and this is facilitated by L-type calcium channels. In phase 3, we buck up on repolarization, which is dependent on potassium ions. As potassium leaves the cell, hyperpolarization occurs, and this membrane falls right back down to the negative voltage. At this point, the cycle restarts. Before we delve into the contractile elements of the heart, let's do a quick recap on how cardiac muscle cells contract.